tell you a story. One time, there was a man that studied gain of function on kitty cats viruses. And he worked in a North Carolina lab. And his name was Tauchi. And Dr. Tauchi was working with gain of function on the kitty cat virus. And one of the doctors came and said, "Oh no, Dr. Tauchi, you can't do this anymore. This is unethical. You may release a serious biohazard into the atmosphere or to another human being, so we cannot allow you to study this here." Dr. Tauchi was just horrified that he couldn't study anymore. Well, he went to Tynda, and in Tynda, they had Lulon, and in Lulon, there was a special lab. And with the help of the Ulsti government, they went and studied the kitty cat virus at the Lulon lab. And with that, $3.7 million of funding from the Ulsti government was given. Suddenly, in 2017, Dr. Tauchi comes and says there will be a viral outbreak that the president will have to face in the upcoming year or so. Then, the kitty cat virus appears. And it seems to have started in Tynda. Well, the first information we got was from Tynda. The first videos we got were from Tynda. We couldn't understand what we were looking at. And in November, December, we were informed, or the Ulsti government was informed of this. Yet the Ulsti claimed they only learned about it in January. Well, this is where the confusion comes in. Because the kitty cat virus that they were studying seems to be the virus that is affecting the world. And now the whole planet is confused. What's going on? Where did this come from? How did we get here? Well, Mr. Tauchi goes and studies it in Tynda, and it gets released in Tynda. I don't know what would happen or why that would even be understandable, why he would be involved with that in any way, shape, or form. Well, he's friends with Tate's doctor. Oh, I'm sorry, not a doctor. What did he build again? The Vex box. The Vex box is what he built. And he, for some reason, is part of Dr. Tauchi and the foundation that they all run together. Well, that foundation with Tate and Tate's wife is now developing the vaccine for the kitty cat virus. Is anyone as confused as this as I am? So what's happening right now? And then suddenly on this news channel, forget what it was called. It had an alphabetical name. I think it was CTS. I think it was CTS. It might have been that, but you can guess. And you could go back and find that Tate states his vaccine has an 80% failure rate and has serious side effects, and he admits that, while stating that the group that will be overseeing this vaccine will not be pressured into authorizing the vaccine, and then says that they had to go with a very high dose of this medication in order to cure this new kitty cat disease. Well, with an 80% failure rate, and it causing a cytokine storms, along with shakes, chills, fevers, vomiting, uncontrollable like seizure-like convulsions, and just plain old death. Tates goes on to say that he will be pressured anyways to release this. And that's an actual video you can go back and find for yourself on CTS, guys. And so now we're listening to someone who has financial backing in this, someone who has an investment in this, and someone who is trying to profit from this. Because I know for a fact that Fauci has money in the Tates and Belinda organization. All you have to do is go to the website. It's all on there. And when you see, you now understand why they're pushing so hard for a specific version. With that version, what have we seen? Oh, you guys haven't seen anything, huh? That's right, because mockingbirds singing have covered it up for you. They like to repeat talking points over and over and over and repeat them to the point that you're brainwashed and are not allowed to think for yourself. And so you don't get to see those, but they're there. You just have to search them on the internet. You can also go to the DCD website and find them, but they're not under people's names. They're under lot numbers, like 00-910231-1. And then you'll find reports on each and every one of those people who suddenly met a demise because of the kitty cat vaccine. And you find out that the mockingbirds are covering up the kitty cat vaccine deaths. And now you're starting to get a bigger picture of what is really going on. When you are in fear, you are easily controllable. And when you are controlled, they don't have to worry. The mockingbirds have decided throughout this and the last year to repeatedly divide the country based on the color of their skin and tell everyone that everyone's against you because of the color of your skin. Well, I am here to tell you, I grew up in a world and in an actual place where it was every species you could believe of anything. Everything was there, and I was friends with everyone. And I have no damn clue why these mockingbirds are creating this, because I went through school without an issue. I went through my whole life without an issue. Until now. Why is this an issue now? Well, the mockingbirds, what do mockingbirds do? They repeat the same tone, or they mimic birds, other birds? Possibly because they repeated it over and over to the point where you're brainwashed. Well, let's do us all a favor. Let's step out of this place, and let's all come together as a group, regardless of what you belong to, what your religion, what your race is, what you believe, what your truth is, what your sexuality is. Let's come together as a group and all talk and understand. And let's come together as we're supposed to be, as a race, as humanity. There is no other race than humanity. We're all humans. We all sit on the same planet. It rotates the same way. If we fuck it up for one, we fuck it up for all. So let's get together. Let's have a conversation. Let's come to the realization that now 16 countries have banned the kitty cat vaccine, and we are still being forced to take it. Wake up, America. Wake up. Come together. Love your neighbor. Regardless religion, party, belief, background. They're criminals because at the end of the day, we're the ones that are going to have to come together and stand up. The other ones, the groups, will just sit back and watch us divide and kill ourselves off. That's not what I want. That's not what what the world wants. We all want to live in peace and happiness. Can we please finally come to this understanding? I wish you all the best. Goodbye.
Has this kind of mRNA vaccine technology ever been injected into humans before?
Well, this is the first time, and the good news is that the results are really, really good.
Okay, but in essence, this is an experimental technology.
Well, it's a new technology.
How can we be sure there won't be a long-term effect when these vaccines were seemingly developed so quickly and have only been tested for months and not years?
The speed with which it's been done is a reflection of the extraordinary advances in science.
The side effects for the Moderna vaccine sound concerning. We looked. After the second dose, at least 80% of participants experienced a systemic side effect, ranging from severe chills to fevers. So, are these vaccines safe?
Well, the FDA, not being pressured, will look hard at that. The FDA is the gold standard of regulators, and their current guidance on this, if they stick with that, is very, very appropriate. And you know, the side effects were not super severe. That is, it didn't cause permanent health problems for the things there. Moderna did have to go with a fairly high dose, and so to get the antibodies. Some of the other vaccines are able to go with lower doses to get responses that are pretty high, including the J&J and the Pfizer. And so there's a lot of characteristics of these vaccines. It's great that we have multiple of them that are going out there. And yes, I think
you know the data better than I do. But the data showed that everybody with a high dose had a side effect.
Yeah, but some of that is not dramatic, where it's just super painful. But yes, we need to make sure there's not severe side effects. The FDA, I think, will do a good job of that, despite the pressure. Here, we clearly need a vaccine that works in the upper age range because they're most at risk of that. And doing that so that you amp it up so it works in older people and yet you don't have side effects. If we have 1 in 10,000 side effects, that's way more, 700,000 people who will suffer from that. So really understanding the safety at gigantic scale across all age ranges, pregnant, male, female, undernourished, existing comorbidities, it's very, very hard. And that actual decision of, okay, let's go and give this vaccine to the entire world, governments will have to be involved because there will be some risk and indemnification needed before that can be decided on.
You say that if we do everything right now in terms of testing and shutting the country down, that we should have only one wave of this virus. Why are you so confident? Because a lot of people aren't so sure that we're not going to have a recurrence when we get another flu season next fall.
Well, we don't know how seasonal this virus is. It'd probably be good for the Northern Hemisphere if the force of infection goes down as we get into spring and summer, and give us some time to get both the drugs and advance the vaccine. It is fair to say things won't go back to truly normal until we have a vaccine that we've gotten out to basically the entire world. And so, the best people at the foundation who are all about high volume vaccines, are working with many manufacturers, not only on the safety and efficacy, but getting that billions of dose capacity.
Does it basically mean that the vaccine is our only hope of getting back to normal?
Yeah, well, society should be able to have things like schooling that get a priority versus certain more entertainment-related things. And I guess, politicians will show what their value system is there. The only way we'll get completely back to normal is by having maybe not the first generation vaccines, but eventually a vaccine that is super effective and that a lot of the people take, and that we get the disease eliminated on a global basis. That is where we can finally start taking all the problems that have been created in education, mental health, and start to build back in a positive way.
You've talked about some of the sophisticated tools, the therapeutics that are coming, and that some are here. Can you just talk a little bit? I mean, let's talk about Regeneron. You've been optimistic about it. It got obviously a big endorsement from President Trump because he was able to receive it. He's calling it a cure. He's calling on regulators to give it emergency use authorization. Do you support the idea of the emergency use authorization? And I assume it's not a cure.
No, the word cure is a bit of an overpromise. That makes it sound, it looks like works for everyone, and the whole concern about this disease should go away. And that's the last thing we want people to think about.
This virus, are we looking at 2022, 2023, when we feel like we'll have this virus under control around the world?
A few things like getting their health systems and vaccination rates back up. You can probably get that back in shape within 3 or 4 years. The poverty impacts and educational impacts will be more like 10 plus years, because they didn't have the ability to write lots of checks. Their jobs are not in offices at all. So they've suffered disproportionately. And, this gradual progress that's usually very positive, it has, for the first time since World War II, we've had this huge setback.